I was doing all the things, taking all the classes to be a theater major without declaring it until I had to finally say, you have to declare your major. You're now like, it's like my end of sophomore year. And
Yeah.
uh, I declared I was a theater major. And it was a big moment because the idea of saying it out loud was scary to me, which is why now I say to anybody, whatever they want to do, like say it out loud all the time. Say it out loud, because if you don't believe it's going to happen, nobody will. And I know that there are times in my life that I was up for jobs or up for things, and because somebody else believed I could do it, but I didn't. And so if I couldn't say it out, and I remember thinking, I can't say, well, yeah, of course I should have my own show. Or of course, like if you can't say it, it will not happen. And you will
Right.
sabotage it. It will not be. And until you can, it doesn't matter if there's a whole chorus behind you that love, believe in you, will lift you up. Until you can do it, it will not happen. And if it does, it'll
100%.
last a hot minute.
Welcome to Camp Fifi Uncensored podcast, episode 111 of our season 4, Powerful Women being featured, and our part 2 with Melissa Peterman. And I am so excited because funny is a superpower, and I am so delighted to continue to share this conversation. So grab that coffee and grab that cannoli, because here we go.
We were raised like, again, two different households, but no doubt to be a good girl, to be responsible, to do what you say, follow through.
Your word is your bond. Yeah.
All of it, all of it. And therefore, you're considered accountable, reliable, responsible, trustworthy. We can respect that you're going to do as you're told, say as you do, blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting because in these last 3 years of knockwood, still being able to do what we do, even though, we know that we're in a minute right now where we
Yeah.
don't know what we're doing regarding all of this. And that's a subject unto itself,
Yes.
as we both know. And why it's been so important to stay expansive and stay open-minded and stretch, not because you're leaving the nest, but because expansive is important. To your point, learning how to manage our minds when we do say yes or we do say no, and how we manage our emotions through all that. And we are in a business that there is so much unknown, and life, there is so much unknown. And yes, for people like us, structure is something that I do not question. As much as we love our freedom, we do love structure, because structure means, oh my God, okay, we're doing it, we're in it, and I always reflect, Melissa, I don't know about you, I always reflect, my God, if it got the green light and we're actually in the mix
Yeah.
doing it, and the check clears, the I never thought of myself as a gambler, but Jesus God, I feel like I signed up for the biggest casino roll on the planet. And I'm sure other people feel that way about other businesses that they're aligned with. I've been doing this most of my life now. So this is
Yeah.
most what I know and relate to, no matter how many different scenarios I've seen throughout. To say this is amazing, and we've been all fortunate, for any of us who have done it in the way that we've been fortunate, these two little Midwest girls, to be in these realms, to have successfully and continue to successfully do this all together. And, when people reach out to you, because, you said it, like you were lucky enough to be a part of, a sketch comedy group in Minnesota. Yes, people probably are funnier because they have to stay inside. So they have to learn to live together and make it worthwhile and blah, 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 blah. I relate to that, coming from Rockford, Chicago, and spending a lot of time in Wisconsin on that note. So I call myself a cheesehead flatlander. I mean, that's just my, some subterranean name.
I
And
accept.
and like I always actually wanted to be a part of Second City, but I also knew I was already a starving artist and I didn't have the money and the time or the space to, not because everybody else did, by the way. I just want to be very clear. But I was just like, how do I do that on top of everything else? Now I probably just got in my own way, but it always again made me laugh that I ended up aligning with all the top SCTV people, doing all their stuff, being in those spaces, all like there was definitely a bigger plan. Like when I look at the little 5-year-old girl sitting in front of the TV laughing out
Yeah.
loud at Edith Ann. And there I am now in Lily's kitchen, and she's walking over to this big white rocking chair that's lit up like a rainbow and hops in it and starts going through Edith Ann. And I didn't know whether to laugh or cry or both. And I did both. I did both.
That's I have her. I collect comedy albums too. I have so many Lilies. Like she's another one that I met, and I probably was I just was like, I didn't know what to say. I think I was in a weird costume for something, and Reba was next door doing Malibu Country or something, and she said, "Come over and meet Lily." And I think I was in a costume for, oh, what was I? And I remember meeting, like, in my dreams I didn't envision I'd be wearing dressed as a nun. I think I was a nun. I don't know what it was, but I got to meet her, and she was, of course, just as wonderful as could be. She's one of the
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's brilliant. Her wife, Jane, is brilliant. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. And I'm grateful to have, had her in my life and been a part of her life. And I mean, even that picture right back there that I'm pointing to,
I see
that's
it.
her. Yeah, that was
One
a gift
ringy
to me.
dingy, two ringy dingy.
Yeah, there's gifts around from different things. I got a beautiful photo from Bob Altman when we did For Your Consideration with Meryl Streep and the whole gang, including Maya, like Robert Altman's last movie. Yeah, I mean, I feel really, really fortunate. It's been a colorful journey thus far, and I just think it's going to get really richer and more colorful because I choose it to be. And going back to you. So, okay, now past your 5-year-old stage, loving, knowing these foundational things about your character, loner, reader, you could, live or live without others, but you want quality versus quantity. You know that you got consciously or unconsciously funny aunts who are exposing you to things that you resonate with you, SNL, Prince, or whomever, and
Carbonet was
licorice. Do
huge.
not forget
Carbonet,
the licorice. Don't forget the licorice, for fuck's
licorice.
sake. Excuse
If you
me.
if you bite both ends, it's a straw. We would
Love
put it in our
licorice.
tab, a can of tab. Just,
Yeah, but
just
which kind of licorice do you like? Which brand?
it was Twizzlers with my aunts. I have veered off. Sometimes I like a red vine, but I'm not allowed
Yeah.
to bring a red vine into their home.
See, I knew there was more to that story.
It's a Twizzler house over there for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I completely get it. Speaking of which, after being exposed to that stuff, when did you start to notice that you personally wanted to like do these kind of things, sing, dance, perform, make people, and or was it something you said that made somebody laugh that you went, I
It
like
was
that?
it was always the comedy and like the performing that part. I'd say like junior high, a little bit. I figured out I was funny, and then it was like junior high, high school, and then it was sort of like that defense too of like, when you're funny, they don't notice that, oh, you are real tall, and and all these things that now I embrace. But as a, you know in high school or in junior high, you just want to be the little girl that everyone picks up and throws around instead of the girl
Yeah,
they ask to get something off the top shelf.
yeah,
um
yeah.
so I just sort of, I think it was junior high and high school that I sort of was like, I knew I funny was a superpower, like you said, like it was like powerful. Like if you were the one that could, like, again, observing, because to be funny, which is why I think all the people that are comedians, all the great, they're always watching everything because and they're always listening. And it's that gift of like listen, and then if you're listening and watching, then you'll come in with the right thing, the
Mm-hmm.
right time, and then
Mm-hmm.
boom, you landed the joke, and now you're the funny one. So, and it was sort of there, and so I was just the funny one. In high school, I was voted most likely to become a comedian with Brad McDonald. We were both, and by the way, Brad is very funny and works and is in Hollywood as well. And but in high school, and then there was a variety show called Showtime in high school that I really wanted to do. Um, and I got into that, and there was a Mr. Mraz. He was the director of Showtime, this variety show that they did every year, and it was just a very big deal to get in on it. And I got in on it. I think it was it my 1989? Yeah, Showtime 89. And I was so excited. Um, and he was also the drama teacher. So I did one play with him. And he was the one who sort of whispered in my ear those words that said, "You should do this
Mm-hmm.
forever. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do this."
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget that. It was that first time he like, so wait, so I could do this and like it could be my job. Like that's how I get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always sort of in the back of my head, like, I really want to, but again, it's how would that be? How could that
Mm-hmm.
happen? How would I
Yeah.
go from living in Minnesota to being on television? Like, that's not real. And it was
Yeah.
either New
Yeah.
York, it was like, it could have been like, I love doing theater. I love doing all of that. So it was like New York or LA. Those dreams were there. But he was the first one who like just said to me, you should. And so I went on to Mankato State, which is now Minnesota State, great theater department. Truly, Cedric, my friend Cedric Yarbrough, who you might know as well, Reno
Yeah.
911,
I love Cedric.
who
Did
we went
Reno
to this.
911 together.
Oh my gosh, I just had lunch with him. He's geniusly funny, and he
He
went
is so funny
he went back to
and sweet and
sweet,
sweet.
and
I didn't
kind.
mean to interrupt. Sweet, well mannered, like a total Midwesterner. I didn't even realize. I did see your post recently. I didn't mean to interrupt the flow, but I did see your post, and I think I even commented, and I thought, oh God, Melissa's just going to think whatever. But, and I don't mean that towards you personally.
Right,
I
right,
just mean like, sometimes when you chime in on things and people don't know,
right.
and it doesn't matter who it is, you might sound like whatever. But no, what I remember of him, and I saw him recently in the last couple of years, and honestly, I don't think it even really resonated with him because I did the early Reno 911s,
Okay,
like before it even went
right, right.
union, and I was designing the hair, just a lot of funny
He
moments.
would, if
But
you just, all you would have to do is just remind him, and he would know in a minute. But
he's lovely. He's so lovely. But let's get back on course about what you
we
were
were we
saying
were at the
to.
same high school. Cedric and I, same high school, same college, same improv group in Minnesota after college. So um anyway,
Good dust, good fairy dust, good place
truly.
to come from.
So yeah, so where was I? So went to college, and I still was afraid to say it out loud. Like I was still afraid like to declare. Like that's what I would just remember. And I think
Mm-hmm.
about people now where you're supposed to know what you want to. No, you're not. If you do, you're really lucky. But the idea of like,
Yeah.
I declare my major, like to me, it feels it just the idea of saying declaring your major, it sounds so scary and permanent. I declare I am a theater artist. I declare. And just the idea of saying, okay, I declare I'm choosing a career where I will never make any money. Only 1% of the people that ever say they're going to do it actually do it. I will be poor. I will be living, I just, it scared me because it's that side mixed with that Midwesterny sort of like structure. You've got to have a
Mm-hmm.
savings,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
so I was doing all the things, taking all the classes to be a theater major without declaring it until I had to finally say, you have to declare your major. You're now like, it's like my end of sophomore year. And
Yeah.
uh, I declared I was a theater major. And it was a big moment because the idea of saying it out loud was scary to me, which is why now I say to anybody, whatever they want to do, like say it out loud all the time. say it out loud, because if you don't believe it's going to happen, nobody will. And I know that there are times in my life that I was up for jobs or up for things, and because somebody else believed I could do it, but I didn't. And so if I couldn't say it out, and I remember thinking, I can't say, well, yeah, of course I should have my own show. Or of course, like if you can't say it, it will not happen. And you will
Right.
sabotage it. It will not be. And until you can, it doesn't matter if there's a whole chorus behind you that love, believe in you, will lift you up. Until you can do it, it will not happen. And if it doesn't, it'll
100%.
last a hot minute. So
Right.
getting to that point was and I it's no surprise that it was a scary thing back then to say it, because it was going against everything. So I declared it, and of course I still double major just to have a backup. um,
Naturally.
but it was mass communications, which basically, what is that? That's nothing. that's
Theater.
that's another job of, like, you're not going to have any money. You don't, what does that mean? You're going to be an entertainment reporter? I don't know. um
Look at
so
what you manifested.
I did.
All
And
those platforms, every last one of those platforms.
that's true. I guess it really is, because
Yeah, no, it's so true. You
I've
manifested
diversified
every.
into being able to
Sorry.
host and to do those things. And I felt, and this is the truth too, is when the strike happened, and I had done a game show a year ago that then got picked up before that all happened, and knowing that I could do it because it was a different contract, and you still have that conflicting thing of, I'm with my brothers and sisters in SAG. I've been a member since, I was 20 something, and
Yes.
I'm still allowed to do this. And realizing that as I talk to, your SAG rep and everything, like, yes, this is something you can do. And then talking to people in my life, going, you shouldn't feel guilty because you've worked hard enough that you now created another niche that you do that's not the
Mm-hmm.
actor, that you did create that niche as well, that this is, you can do it. And now there's 75 people that are going to get to work during this little tiny chunk of time, still conflicting as a midway, you just have that. But at the same time going, no, you're right, I've been working for a really long time as an actor, but I've also worked really hard to create this other neat niche that I can do, and thing that I love to do as well, that I think I'm okay at, so I get to do it. So anyway, that was a
No,
sidebar.
you're great at it. You're great at it. I'm going to take a moment and highlight and appreciate you. What I love about what we're talking about, and I'm a big believer in this, and I talk about this throughout my podcasts and things that I'm really passionate about. One, women; two, financial security and finding your voice; having multiple streams of residual revenue
Mm-hmm.
for legacy security. I don't care how you do it, but it's leaning into your genius and doing what you're passionate about. So your strengths are all of those things. And I'm going to share this with you because being somebody who's also multifaceted, as you've already
Yes.
declared, it's really challenging to want to do it all, well, get to do it all. And not everybody be the crabs in the bucket trying to pull you down, going, you can't do that, because like you said, you've got to believe. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, good, bad, or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to believe. And there's been many moments, matter of fact, this post I'll be putting out really soon, it's all about the growing, expanding, believing, all that stuff. And in a moment like this, like the strike that we're both a part of in different ways, and as Midwest girls, and liking to follow the rules and not hurt people's feelings and be a people pleaser, but yet no, you didn't write this contract, for one, okay? And we have multiple contracts in this industry that people in the industry don't get, let alone people outside of the industry don't get naturally, or nor should, why would they? But how fortunate that you did, like a fine wine, like add the grapes with the cinnamon and the vanilla flavoring and all the things to make for a smorgasbord, classic Midwest smorgasbord of abilities. Because you have to have multiple streams of opportunities. You have to know. I don't care. And this is something about our industry that really kind of gobsmacks me at moments. Some of the most creative people on the planet have sadly the most kind of limited, like, no, you can't go out and do that. How can you go do that? I can't, and it's like, but why can't I? Would you want that for your child? Would you
Yeah.
say to Riley, you can't go do that? Would
Yeah.
you want that for anybody you love and admire? No. So getting back to this very core belief of being prepared for life has nothing to do with our industry, has nothing to do with anything but being prepared for life. And I learned this at 14 when the shit hit the fan with my family, that it's all about preparedness for life. I probably would have gone to SNL or to Second City or to those things in front of the scenes had I had more confidence, even though I was getting all the leads in musicals and people were whispering in my ear and all the things that, like you said, I'm going to make this declaration, but I don't know how I'm going to manifest this and how this is going to materialize. And and you may have heard this in the podcast that Amanda and I talked about, I did not have the money and I owed a lot of money back from my university days. And I had to figure it out, which is why, of all things, I went to beauty school, because I was going to use another source of one of those many appendages to thrust me forward and keep me getting closer to those circles of my like-minded design in my mind. And it has served. And this has served. Even though this is still building, this has served in such a beautiful way to the core of my beliefs, which is our greatest bank account is one another sitting down around a campfire and being our most authentic self and truly creating connection and truly creating conversation. Because at that moment, do we powerfully get to hear each other, get to see each other, get to go out into the world and create these ripple effects that are vibrationally, or whatever you want to call it, energetically, like, powerful, to go, because now you and I are going to go out in the world and go, oh my God, we declared X, Y, and Z. We celebrated, I, T, and O. And there's just a layered effect of what occurs. And we get to open our minds to, like, bigger things. And I've always been a believer in making people fearless. I mean, being a camp counselor, this was my deal. Everybody was going to love to learn to live together. That was the mission of the camp. But in my own cabins, I don't care how colorful the 12 or 13 girls were and where all they came from. We were all going to be in, symbiotic love management together, and we're all going to do it together. We're all going to win together, and individually you're going to be loved on as the individual who I saw and heard you as. And I was also going to take my own experiences and go, you're going to be fearless, because you're going to go out into the world and do powerful things, and you're going to learn things here that will carry you forward. And if I have anything to do with it, we're making this happen. And I live my life that way, as scary and as many times as I've been bucked off the horse. And the strike is a perfect example. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think that's fantastic.
Go ahead, please.
No, all I was going to say was I love that that's such a great way to live. I mean, and that you figured that out. I mean, that's, and that you share that gift with so many people. Like, you don't know, there's so many people that had you as a counselor that is the thing that someone whispered in their ear that they still think about today. And they might be in a podcast somewhere talking about, I had this counselor, I think she played the cello. Anyway, she whispered something to me about, there's going to be a lesson you're going to learn here that's going to be this. And they're talking about it. Like, it is that ripple effect. So that's what I was just going to agree with. And then I ended up talking too much about it. There we go.
No. And the beautiful thing is you're absolutely right. I validate that. And I'm lucky enough at the time that I was a camp counselor, we didn't have this technology, so I'm grateful for this technology, because it also is a tool that allows us to connect in a positive way. And I try to tell people that, because there's many people who are so to social media. And I'm like, look, social media has actually expanded my world, and I know it can expand yours in a positive way if you go about it. I also think that if you don't get on the train's leaving the tracks, and you need to like really get into forward movement thinking. And I don't care, do I want, would, if I had a 2-year-old right now, would I want a telephone strapped to their face? No, I would not. But I also believe that there's a positive way to engage that, whether one person hears it or 1,000 super fans hear it or greater, that you have the power to do positive things. I am fortunate and very humble to say that many of those young girls who are grown women who are probably roughly, like these were only like 8 years younger than me. Like I was,
Yeah,
18, that are still in my life,
I
who
love that.
do give back to me. Like it was what I didn't know was going to give me my mom moments, to be the mother or the great aunt or the camp counselor, that I take with great pride, that I was purely just showing up Felicia, and nobody set limits on that other than to just be me, which I want and resonate for everybody to be. That's what I love about this space also. It allows for people to be safe and be able to talk about things that maybe you don't talk about with everybody else, but feel comfortable to share. And I do. I love that those moments have happened in my life, because in moments like in Hollywood, when things can be very unsettling, and
Mm.
not even about the strike, but other moments,
Yeah,
you have to have a space in your life that you can go, but I know who I am.
yeah,
No matter how crazy it is out there, I know who I am. That doesn't mean I know it all. It means that, I'm not going to give my power away. Like you don't give your power away. I'm going to continue to align with like-minded tribe and find my way, as I believe you have and continue to. I think, I mean, that resonates with me with you actually, because of, though I don't know the depths of it, Melissa, obviously you have foundationally come from people, whether it's the Cedrics of the world or the Brads or whomever, or Mo, who you come up with. And then now what you've created in your synergy out here in LA and in your industry and profession, people have seen all the things that you get to bring to the table. Well, not just being a character actress, but being able to host on a red carpet or a morning show, or a dance or music contest, or a game show, whatever the case may be. Not everybody can do that.
no.
And a lot of performers can't do that. Can't do it. So brava, brava. I really love you for that, because I think it's a really important teachable moment that people, if they take this one thing away, it's super important to not be a square box in this round hole. It's really important to find your fit and to spread your wings. And it's not just one thing we're here to do. We're layered onions. We're here to do multiple things. And if people are trying to limit you and what you want and you're capable of, they're not your people.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not your people. And you had to have had enough foundation to scary, not confused. Oh my God, I just made this declaration, whatever. Pray to God it works out. Woo, here we go. But those seeds planted, people already knew. And then things like you said to me, and then things kept aligning. And there's no accident to that. And there's no accident to like what's to become more of
yeah,
our
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Our
Our
show.
show,
See,
our
our
show.
show.
I can't
Our
wait to
show.
get started.
I know, me too. Because God knows I planted those seeds long ago. Um, yeah, I often think about actually doing, there's been many things I wanted to do with funny women, a tabletop book, like photographs.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm being really open about this. Like,
Okay.
I don't normally discuss this stuff out loud. I try to do it before it's become, but I'm good with this. I've also thought like how fun it would be to have a collective here a collective podcast with several funny women. And excuse my thumbs up. I don't know why it ever does that.
I just realized I never changed my name. It says John Brady this whole
You know
time.
what? I think it's a good character name. I love that you married a Brady, by the way.
I, you know, I got a Brady. I'm part of the Brady bunch.
You are a part of
So I'll just keep it John Brady for the whole time.
Yeah,
Perfect.
no, you're fine. You're fine. I honestly, until you said it, I strangely didn't even notice it. It would help if I put my glasses on. I can see, but
No,
I
don't.
wasn't zoning in on that. Um, the last thing, what I wanted to say or ask you was in regards to you making that leap of faith into, okay, you've now declared, now you've, done all the things in Minnesota and what have you. What was the game changer for getting you from the Midwest to LA? And then has been this like red carpet, no pun intended, that you've been traveling on since?
Um, well, it was okay. The thing that really got me here, I knew I wanted to. Like it was in
Mm.
the plans. I was after I graduated, I worked at Brave New Workshop, Dudley Riggs. I did Tony and Tina's wedding, which was to me like grad school for funny because I had to improvise every night with the funniest people ever. And so I was saving money. And then the improv group, the Brave New Workshop, which is just like a Second City where you're writing 6 shows a year and you're doing improv. They were going to put together a workshop to do in LA. So we were going to come out to LA, and they picked a people like John was one of them, I was one of them, and we were going to do a little like showcase at the HBO workspace in LA, and went out and did that. And they invited industry people. This is again before I could have maybe just had a TikTok and put on my characters and maybe got it. So we did that, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And a manager was like, I want you, people want to meet with you and they want to meet. So I had a few meetings right away after, but I was like, I gotta go back to Minnesota. I have a dentist appointment. So we did the workshop. I met with people, kind of connected with this manager, and then going, okay, that's good. But I really was going to go back to Minnesota, and went back there. I'm trying to remember the timeline exactly. So I did this, but basically what I'm
How
saying is
was the teeth cleaning is what I want to know.
perfect. Look at them. But basically I would like to say that every job I really can kind of pinpoint back to that workshop that I did. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, went back to LA or back to Minnesota, got married, went to Baltimore to save money, did Tony and Tina's wedding for just a short run to get more cash, and then we moved to LA. But from that workshop, I got a manager.
Mm.
And from that workshop, one of the casting directors from the Reba show, Greg Orson, who I think he saw me at that workshop and sort of said that thing of like, I have nothing for you now. I will someday, but I'm keeping you in my brain. So back to your planting seeds, that was a seed I planted. It did not come for a few years after that. So, but I can still, so many things from that one night of just doing my thing happened there. So Greg Orson saw me. So we move here. I'm auditioning every day. We don't have a GPS, just, driving everywhere. I got a funny sketch show. That's where I met Maya. I don't think it ever aired. I think I did a commercial, was just auditioning. I booked a pilot, then I was fired from. So I learned all those like horrible, wonderful LA lessons very quickly. And then basically that sort of led to Greg bringing me in to read for the sitcom was called Sally at the point. Reba was not attached yet. I think they were trying to get her, and did that audition. And then that's the one that sort of changed your life, where I did this audition, and I still remember going, I have to leave because my John was doing a play, doing Tony and Tina's in Portland. So I was going to fly out to spend the weekend with them. And I go, can I go first? Because I have to fly. I have a flight. Just dumb. I would never do that in a million years. Um, and I did the audition, and Michael Hannell, who was the executive, him and Mindy, Michael follows me out and says, wait, where are you flying to? And I said, oh, I'm just going for the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday night. I'm going to go visit my husband who's doing a play. And he's like, okay, good. Because by the way, nobody ever follows you out of an audition. So I thought, well, that seems good. Either I forgot my wallet or, I don't know. And
Mhm.
by the time I landed in Portland on the flight, I had a message that said I was going to go to network and test for the role of Barbara Jean. And then so that was sort of it. Although I will say, now I've skipped a tiny part. I got the movie Fargo in Minnesota after college. So I was waiting tables at TGI Fridays. Um, and I got hooker number two. But again, you do it and you don't hear nothing happens for like a year, like or whatever how
Right.
the movie is. I will say that having that credit on my resume, that at least got me into a lot of auditions in LA. So the fact that it was a Coen Brothers movie, it had won,
Hmm.
just it was kind of just having hooker number two on my resume. I think I got into rooms I probably would not have gotten into rooms um, when I first moved here. So that was a super lucky, wonderful break for me to have that because people wanted to talk about it. And like, they're like, oh, she was in a Coen Brothers movie. She'll know how to drive and get here. Or I don't know what they thought, so um, that was a very helpful one. So then, and then, yeah, I need to write this down in a better timeline, but that was about it. And then ever since then, and Reba was, 6 years. And after that, I got to do another sitcom, working class for CMT, and then Baby Daddy happened, and then, but in between, you're hustling. In between every job, I just didn't know if you had another one. You're like, well, that's it. That was sure fun. I can go back to Minnesota with my head held high because I declared a major and I did it, and I can go home now. So that's what I sort of thought. Again, I still think that. Well, if this is it, I had a pretty great run and I got to meet a lot of great people, and I'm still good at other things, and I'm still got a lot of other things I like to do. And so that's okay too. I would like to work with kids or animals or teach or I don't know, make candles. I I just I'm at a place right now where I'm not done. I would love to do I'll say it a lot. I love to do a Broadway show. I would
Good.
love to do our show, which is happening. So we're
Yes.
just
Yes.
that out loud. I think I got another
Yes.
series in me. I think I got a,
Yes.
a book in me. I've got a lot of things. But
Hmm.
if none of that happens, um, I sure had a really great run at that part.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean
Hmm.
it's over. Just that part I'd feel real good with. And I could go
I
on to
love. I love
other.
that. No, I love that. I love that so much. I relate to it also so much. Not riding on the coattails of that. Just accentuating, validating, honoring, celebrating. Yes. 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 Yeah, and I think it takes a special, I don't want to say human, but I almost said animal, a special spirit to be able to keep going and to recognize that this is not a road that's, clear, but staying with your visions and your wants and your whys is so important because that's we only have control over our part. The rest of it, we have to trust we're going to be guided divinely, but we have to put that work and energy into it over here in order for whatever's possible to manifest over here can be.
Yeah.
That all the right people align, that all the right timings align, that all the perfect, like you turn around and go, oh my God, pinch me. And I just got this moment, like I saw us, and we're going to look at each other and going to be like we're gonna like I'm gonna be in a lot of Jesus God moments,
Yeah.
which is my Midwest like Chicago GAWD, like not to be offensive to anybody who prays in that way or to that individual, but it's just those are the things that I think is again a very teachable moment. Is that you have to know that these things, your path did not happen without hard work, without dedication, without focus and goals and wants and whys, and that you still have all of those things intact And, I don't know about you, maybe you continue to reflect on those, readdress, or maybe it's the very same mission statement you made back in 20 years of age or whatever. I would imagine it's evolved. I call it a living sculpture. So you're like walking in the room going, oh, the tushy needs just a little bit,
Yeah.
like you see the piece of clay and go, oh, I didn't notice that yesterday. Oh, let me get that here today. And I just think of that as being like, or I also call it like flowing like a river. So you can imagine how in our environments that we grew up with in the Midwest, when we would be in nature, in those spaces where the water is just trickling just beautifully and the leaves, and you can hear just all the things in nature, the birds, the rustling, the water, the beavers, the whomevers doing their thing. And I just think that like what we've discussed is really a culmination of all that collectively. And what I love about it as two artists who have successfully done what we've done. And it's interesting, Melissa, because this industry, as you know, can do a lot of separating, can do a lot of like, well, I'm here and you're there kind of stuff. One of the things that's really important to me as a person who doesn't sound really lofty, but once I saw Sherry Lansing speak in 1988 in a ballroom in Chicago with, I'm going to be frank, the most amount of Jews I've ever been surrounded by, and being a minority and raised in Rockford in Illinois, you saw very few. And it's
Yeah.
the time to talk about that right now is kind of a delicate thing that I'm not going to get into, but it reminds me of all the things I was raised with and present things. And my heart is just like, that does go back to human beings and not beliefs and all that. It's just human beings.
Right.
So that's all I'm going to say to that. But she did give me that sense of, wow, wouldn't it be amazing to be the head of a studio and take that, all those things as a storyteller and an artist wrapped in the business and really like shift the dynamics of this industry. And I wasn't even in the industry yet.
Yeah.
But again, a seed. And to that point, like, I think that we as a collective, if not now, when, need to recognize that none of us are different than the other, that there were all collaborators, that there should not be separate class systems. I'm not saying like everybody wins a blue ribbon. I'm
Right.
not saying don't get what you can't get. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the mindset. It all starts with the mindset. It all starts with the intention. All the things we've been talking about, making up our minds, making declarations, how and who and what we want to see and manage and run with. It's all the same elements. If there is any formula, that's the formula. And
Yeah.
then it's like in the baking of the recipe. How do you want that cake to taste? You want it to be moist and sweet. Hopefully you like the word moist, sweet, delicate, light.
Does anybody like it? I'm going to pretend I like it. But
I
nobody
don't know.
likes it.
I don't know. Pretend. But that like just that perfect blend of everything. And I think that for me, the takeaway on this podcast interview has been, it's just been like that. It's just been like having dessert and just being able to just have a sweet last hour and almost 45 minutes of just sharing time with you and getting to know you a little bit better and just bringing a big smile and a lot of laughter to me that I pray to God I tried not to ruin the takes on or the interview on. A lot of silent laughter there, people. That's all I got to say. But
I'm going to end it with, I declare our show will be a hit and we'll do many seasons. I declare it.
I second that. Declared winning. We're winning awards. We're hugging, kissing, loving on each other.
And we're going to go back to this moment. Go, remember when we talked about it? Remember?
Yes, 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 yes.
I'm so glad you
yes.
had me. This was so great.
I thank you so much for saying yes. I'm excited to drop this episode. We'll drop it in a couple weeks. I'll keep you posted. Thank you for being part of it.
I can't wait. I want to see you in person. I want to come
I
to the
want to
studio.
Yeah, let's make a date and
Okay.
let's have coffee and let's talk about future things.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Love you so much.
Mwah.
Thank you so much. Mwah. Bye for now.
Bye. John Brady signing out.
John Brady signing out. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
It was such a treat to have this opportunity to sit down with Melissa, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share it with you. We can't wait for you to join us next week. So in the meantime, subscribe, share as we continue to expand and build our Camp Fifi Uncensored podcast community, where the spirit is young, the soul is wise, and the life experiences are vast. In the meantime, much love. Join us next week for another episode of Powerful Women that we're excited to share. Have a beautiful week. Have a happy holiday. Much love to you all. Be safe. Be sound. Bye for now.